Welcome to Chapter 11 of our It Is What It Is run through The Evil Within. At the end of Chapter 10, we were escaping from an underground parking garage into an elevator. The elevator seems to be dropping now. And looking out there, it's now it's like we're well above the city. We're looking down on the whole of Krimson City. And now we're in water. It's so interesting to me how Sebastian just goes about life like all this stuff that makes no physical sense. Like the physics of the world have stopped working. But he still approaches it like, oh sure, okay, I'm in water. I just opened the door. How would you survive just not even knowing what's up and what's down? Like a second ago I was a mile up in the sky and now I'm in the water in a place with a baby grand piano. Okay.
Looks like the asylum's the only building left untouched. How can that be?
So they're still being drawn towards the Beacon Hotel. This is a hard key to find, or at least, I mean, I walked by it the first time, easily walked by it, but if you're paying attention and you watch the carousel instead of just looking, oh, how pretty it is, you'll notice that there is a one of those statues on one of the backs of the horses. I wasn't expecting the water to be that deep there, so now I have to wait for it to come all the way back around again. Keys are part of the Master of Unlocking, where we have to unlock 45 lockers back in the safe room, back in the hospital / police station area that we go to. There are 47 keys that you can find to unlock the 45 lockers. So you can miss 2 of them. There's one locker. Out of the 45 lockers that you open, one of them has 2 keys in it. It's possible if you don't get if it was the last locker and you missed more than 1 key, you wouldn't be able to get the achievement. But chances are you're going to open that locker at some point and you'll have 2 extra keys. That's what allowed us to skip a key in one of the last week's episodes, where we skipped the key that you had to kill Laura to get. Just simply don't have the weapon power, the amount of ammo and the right type of ammo because of the It Is What It Is run to have gotten that key. So starting in Chapter 11, we're kind of out. We spend quite a bit of time on the streets of Krimson City, and in some of going from office buildings to hotels, etc., back and forth. This is the first opportunity to find this Magnum. As with all the Resident Evil games, I guess it's just the way most video games work today, but the Magnum is the most powerful weapon that you can probably have in your arsenal. Minus like rocket launchers and grenade launchers and special items that you might unlock that way. The map that we found is part of the every Nook and Cranny achievement. It also, by unlocking all of the pieces of the map, you earn special rewards just for that part of the every Nook and Cranny as well. You won't be able to see the completed map inside your run, inside even your first run, no matter what. It's not just because it is what it is run. You won't be able to see it complete. You'll find at least one map piece after the point where you can't get back to the room where the map is. So you can only see the result of the map is complete in a New Game Plus. This strikes me so crazy. He's just willing to just crawl in there. There's absolutely no way Brian would go through that in real life. That building just moved that far, and no, I'm not going to step in that pinch point. Even though you're out in the alley and everything, it still just feels closed in and tight. It's only in those brief moments that you step out into an area that you feel like you're inside the city, like you're in the city proper, with a lot of open space around you. This area is kind of interesting. There's a whole lot of it that you could just kind of run by. And you'll see that if you watch one of the runs coming later for us that we're going to be posting to YouTube will be a speed run. You'll see that you don't really have to take a whole lot of time with this area. Guess that made it for it. You'll see that there's a part of the handgun that you can upgrade is accuracy. You can see that, there's no way that should have been missing, right? But with the handgun that's never been upgraded with accuracy, basically the reticle, even if you put it on the person's head, it's more of a cone that you're shooting in, and it gets very hard to hit anything from any distance. I was confused by the sounds because I was it feels like there's somebody closer than there should be. I was confused that guy had turned around. This is not a good approach to that guy. You need to go around to right here. Now that guy's climbed up on there, and at first I thought he hadn't seen me. And then he turns around. Surprise. Casual mode makes that work really well. The kind of quick shot, so you just hit the aim and the shoot almost at the same time, and a quick shot does the auto aim for you. Get a lot of headshots as long as you have the reticle kind of close to the thing's head. That quick shot will always target the head. That only works on casual. That was part of my goal in how to get through the it is what it is. I don't have an upgraded handgun, but if I do a lot of headshots, even not upgrade, I should be able to do enough damage to make a difference. You'll see me use it here again. One of the other things you can upgrade on your handgun is they call it a critical shot. So it's an instant death if you hit the head. If you can upgrade it, you could get it as high as 50% of the time when you hit the head. It'll be a critical shot and explode the head that way. Since we can't upgrade it, I don't know what the baseline percentage is, but you can add plus 50 up to plus 50% if you're upgrading. In the challenge runs, both It Is What It Is and the Akamu run that we'll also be doing later, I hope. I'm struggling greatly with implementing the plan that Jackie and I have to make that work. I am stuck hard in Chapter 6. Looking online, that's where most people get stuck with Akamu. I'm no exception. I'm stuck hard there. And when you touch that door, a horde of zombies are going to come out. I try to bait them around this way so that I can get... They won't crawl through holes. You know, they'll maybe climb over obstacles and things like that, but they're not likely to crawl through a hole. You need a key off of this dead body here to open that door that when you touched it triggered the whole start of things. The guy at the end down there, he has a machine gun. He's not a crack shot with it. He just kind of sprays it around, but at the same time, it hurts. Uncasual, you can just kind of tank it. There's a guy up on side that shipping container to the left that also has a gun. There's no real reason to stick around and try to kill more of them. On It Is What It Is, the only thing they drop is the green gel, the green goo. So there's no reason, you can't use it, so there's no reason to really spend any time trying to kill more of them. You can see the world from out here just seems to be falling apart, like it's just broken into pieces. I guess this in some way has something to do with each person inside the stem is contributing some subconsciously to the world. But it's interesting that it's cohesive but not cohesive at the same time. Like the world is so fractured and falling apart, and physics don't always seem to apply. This is an easy to miss key. It's also a bit hard to get sometimes. The first time we encountered it, you can lose this key if you don't get this key into a place that... If you don't get the statue into a place where when you break it, the key is on something solid, then it will sink into the water and you'll lose it. You have to be able to stand to pick it up. You have to be able to stand to attack it. Normally what I do is I push it into over there at the far right of the screen, top right of the corner up there. I push it into that tube that you have to go through that anyway, so that inside that, I don't know what to call it, that culvert type tube, that's where I normally break it. But it just popped up on the car there, so I thought, well, let's give that a shot.
Oh shit.
This water beast is, of course, a one-shot kill. I mean, you can't shoot it, you can't do any damage to it. There's nothing you can do to it. You have to lure it with dropping a body and then swim. The only really hard thing here is the first time you do it, you don't know where you're swimming to, and you can swim literally right over it as long as it's baited back there. But you have to get up on this car and immediately go on. If you spend any time on that car, then there's not much you can do to get back out of there. I think there might be another body that you can turn around and drop, but the best way is to just run straight across that car and dive into the water again. Luckily, they didn't put anything out in the water that you're trying to get There's just no advantage to doing anything other than just swim straight. As you can see, we swim right over it. And this little change of aspect is always there. It's always nerve-wracking. You have to be pushing really hard to get up that. If you're not getting it, if you don't get up that in time, he'll grab you. Even if you're kind of still wading in the water, he can get you.
Water anytime soon.
Sooner than you might think. This next encounter, the first time, is just terrifying. I hope you've gotten a chance to experience it, because this may take away some of the fear for you, because it's really not that big of a deal. But the first time, it was just terrifying, and I really didn't know how we were going to do this. But as it turns out, it's really not as hard as... We had found a Magnum, that first Magnum, and we find some Magnum ammo up here in a case. And so I was thinking I had to use the Magnum, that this guy was super powerful. And all these bodies wake up as well, and so running around trying to get away from things, you just ran into hordes of them. As it turns out, now they have that, you see those hands coming out? Those hands are a one-shot kill, and the only way you can get rid of them is to hit him, the fake Ruvik. On most playthroughs, your weapon should be powerful enough that it doesn't take that many shots to get rid of him, especially if you... For whatever reason, I stood back a little ways. If you run a little farther up there, you'll be closer to him. You can pretty much stick the shotgun right in his face and hit him a few times, and he'll die. But those hands are a one-shot kill. Honestly, I thought that was why Akumu might not be that challenging, because there's so many things that are one-shot kills anyway in the game that figure you can just avoid it. But it turns out that making everything a one-shot kill is a challenge for me. So, I find this run much easier to do than the Akumu. And you wouldn't understand that from the percentage completions of across all the platforms. More people complete the Akumu difficulty run than complete this It Is What It Is run. But I'm telling you right now, up front, this is a much easier run than the Akumu.
You gotta be kidding.
Now you can see over time that, obviously there's a big change this time. But over time, it had been gradually getting grubbier and falling more and more apart. There seems to be a real tendency towards entropy here.
Detective.
As people start to lose their minds, what their subconscious is providing.
No one to replace me.
That'll be important later, I guess. So another missing persons poster, another newspaper. You can see we're getting close. Just 4 more newspapers. I believe we have a couple of keys to use. For certain, we just found one a moment ago. So we had 2 keys. They seem to tend to give you a lot of sniper rifle ammo. Which is, I like the sniper rifle. I don't get to use it nearly as much. It's hard to use in any sort of close combat situation. So not a great draw on the resources for us there. So I was a little low on handgun ammo. Might as well top off if I can. Shotgun ammo. I find it sometimes very hard to get the interaction button to come up where I can actually use it. I think I've mentioned in previous videos that it's kind of a don't know if you should use it or not use it. If you use the ammo in here, then it won't be there for you the next time. If you think you're going to have ammo out in the field, you don't want to be completely full when you get out there because you can only carry so much. And you're very limited because you haven't been able to upgrade any of your capacities, any of your, I guess for the weapons they call them cartridges or clips. Really, I guess it would more be a magazine, but the amount of ammo that you can carry inside a gun and the amount of ammo that you can carry outside of a gun. You can increase both of those things inside that place with the green gel. Of course, we can't do it on this run because it is what it is, but because of that limitation, I found it kind of challenging to decide whether or not to fill up in there, even if you know what's coming up, unless you can remember exactly what the items are. A lot of times I could remember what the foes were, but I couldn't remember what items were going to be available to me in the area. And if you fill up there and then all of a sudden you can't pick anything up here, then you've wasted a resource that you can get back to versus a resource that you're never going to have again. This area can be challenging. I still struggle with knowing exactly how I'm going to trigger them to open that garage door. You can see them all up there in that cage. There's a ladder inside the cage that goes up to that, and they're dropping down kind of in waves. I find it hard to know exactly how I'm going to get that door to open. It has to do with you have to walk towards it, you have to walk past this barrier that's here in front of it, and then sometimes it'll open then, sometimes it won't open until you've gone down there and you're headed back. And that felt like a lucky shot. Knocked the guy in the back down and knocked the guy in the front, the big heavy guy, off the side. You can see how devastating the crossbow is if you can get it charged. Even not upgraded. The goal, of course, is when the garage door opens, is to throw a grenade back in there. Now, when they have a crossbow, they always have explosive bolts, and they will shoot those explosive bolts. That was a good physical win. Their bolts are always explosive, and they're like proximity bombs when you're close to them. I mean, it works the same way as it does for them when you I missed. How'd I miss? Missed twice. Shot right between them. Of course, people with dynamite are generally that will kill you. You do not want to be around dynamite. Often I have a hard time finding my reticle. I should probably change the color of it or something. Those little white dots, I often lose them. So I know what I'm looking at and focusing on. But see, up until this point, just kind of crossing this threshold made it open. But now, I'm not sure exactly how quickly. I don't know what happened. That confused me. I'm just standing there like, what happened? What? I don't know what caused him to blow up. I figured this was a good time to use one of those med kits, heal you all the way up. It's nice and bright out. You can see how it affects you. It's not something you want to use during the middle of a battle, that's for sure. But if you have a moment, you know, heals you all the way. There are a few more items that you can grab over in the boxes over here. It's worth remembering that there's resources over here. The only bad thing in survival horror games, when you find a whole bunch of resources that you can pick up, you know the next area is going to be resource intensive. We're up to 230,000 of the green goo. Can't use it in this run. But it's worth noting that to know, of course, the drop rate of the goo and everything else changes dramatically between the difficulty settings. It's plentiful on casual. They're very stingy on Akumu. At least that's what I've seen so far. I don't want to spend too much time talking about Akumu because we have one of those runs coming up that hopefully you'll enjoy. If you're enjoying this one, you'll probably enjoy that one. I found it is what it is, an interesting combination of wanting to find all the resources, because every resource you use you need to replenish because you can carry so little. But at the same time, since you can carry so little, finding large caches of stuff is often not as useful as you might think it would be. It's always good to know what resources are there. Like we found, so we have some extra handgun ammo laying around. If we use the handgun, we can probably replenish our stock. If we use the shotgun, so far we've picked all that up, but we can get back to it now. This is another one of those areas where the first time you encounter it, it feels a little overwhelming. Feels like there's an awful lot to do, a lot of foes to take care of. It really is not as challenging as you might think. My general strategy is to throw a grenade over there and take care of one of these guys. Otherwise, he becomes kind of a problem, sort of sniping you, but not really with the sniper rifle, but he becomes a problem. So put that over there, take care of him, and then just let everybody else climb up these stairs. This sometimes works well, sometimes not as well. You obviously don't want him walking over towards you while he's going to explode. But if you can shoot him, knock him down, and the tank's going off, then often these guys will climb up on top of... I was trying to use the light the match thing, but it didn't work. The animation is often just so slow and happening. I love how the big guy he have a hole straight through the middle of his head and he's still walking around. There are other ones of them that you often find the half or more of their head missing. But the big guy like that, he has a hole right through the middle of his face. And here, of course, we're just taking advantage of playing on casual. Know that we can take a certain amount of damage. Now he has a mask on that's a metal mask, and you can't break it, so it winds up better to shoot the body than trying to shoot the head. That guy followed us all the way over here. Now I remembered I had some handgun ammo here. Didn't quite get filled back up, but still pretty good. Top off the health. Get on the right side of the ladder. There you go. Now, getting up into this point, if you hadn't killed that guy previously, would have been problematic. This isn't necessarily all that hard to survive, but it can get really messy really quickly if you don't take care of the right foes at the right time. I like to stand kind of in that doorway and not step all the way in and get the thing moving. I like to make sure all my weapons are loaded correctly. Alright. And then the handgun winds up being a good tool here. Especially on casual where you can use the quick shot. Make use of the barrels, obviously. You do have to be careful of these guys carrying the Molotov cocktails. If you get too close and they're able to shoot you or hit you with the Molotov cocktails, it engulfs the entire gondola here in flames and makes it almost impossible for you to aim, do anything else. The people with the machine guns, well, on casual they're not doing a whole lot of damage, but they're mostly keeping you from being able to focus on other things, and so you need to get rid of them as you can. The thrown axes do a lot of damage when they start hitting. Of course, you could have used the barrel there instead of just trying to shoot him directly. I found the Gondola Ride challenging the first few times that we went through it. We went fairly smoothly there. Took some damage. Took some shots from handguns, or whatever those guns that they're holding, those little machine guns, machine pistols. They look like. Now we find some goo here, but this is mostly me trying to remember. I thought there was a map piece to find back here, so I look in corners and stuff. I'm looking for a map piece. I know there should be one here somewhere. And so I was convinced it was back here underneath where you crawl underneath that area, because it's easy to skip this area because you could have just gone right by it. For a second I thought it was that white spot over there. I thought, I don't remember ever getting over there. Turns out the map piece that I'm looking for is not back here. It's a little farther forward. There it is. I don't know if I've actually seen it, but it's my reticle was almost on. It's over there on the ground. I guess I've seen it now. Now this is you can actually jump that. It's not intuitive that you can because he doesn't really jump, but if you have him running instead of just falling off, he will jump. And so there's not a jump button. It's not like you can just run over there and say, "Oh, I'll jump now." You just have to know that if you're running at a certain speed and you get to a ledge, he will jump some, and it will carry you across that. It's Magnum ammo, which is very, of course, very valuable. We can carry so little of it that it makes very little difference to us. But you already found the map piece. Don't need to keep looking. These machines like to spit out goo. And this one spits out a key, which of course is important to you. It's your 34th key that we found. If you keep clicking them, you can get bombs. And of course on casual, you get those nice blue areas. It's pretty easy to hit. That's just more resources for your crossbow. On survival mode, whether or not you're going to get that wide blue like that or a very narrow blue, I'm not sure if it's random. I know it varies from place to place. I'm not sure if it's always thick in certain areas and always thin in other areas. This audio tape's pretty easy to miss because you have to actually come back to this corner.
Shaft of light from the lighthouse, from anywhere in this place, seems to penetrate everything. Penetrate me. That view of the hospital is not in my memory, yet somehow it is more solid than anything I have made exist here. Was it always there? Something changed under that light. It calls, it repulses, it draws the others. They think they'll reach the source, regain what they've lost. They don't even know what that is.
There's an interesting comment on the beacon from the Beacon Hospital. That light that seems to be drawing everybody else towards it. Okay, so with the music sounding, we know that we're having another trip back to the hospital. Read one more personal item. There isn't a whole lot that we can actually do inside the hospital this time. There's no missing persons poster and no newspaper to find. I think we have one key that we can open a locker with.
I must be.
So this will be a short trip. This puts us about halfway through chapter 11. I think this video ran just under 39 minutes, and the second half of the chapter runs about 32 minutes. It's a longer chapter. There aren't a huge number of boss fights, and there's plenty to deal with. Don't get me wrong, but it's a much easier chapter to get through. At least on It Is What It Is. So we're going to open one more locker, and then we're going to head back out. We're going to call that the end of the video, and we'll see you in the second half of Chapter 11 tomorrow. Thanks for watching.